Welcome to day 2 of the Refresh Renew Summit with Soul Heart Collaboration. I'm your hostess, Jamie Allen Bishop, here to introduce our next speaker. Gene Bishop is a husband, a father, a son, a brother, a soldier, a friend, a safety administrator, and an aviator who happens to run several coveted groups on Facebook with an audience of over 130,000 people in the aviation industry. As such, he has become a sought-after speaker who shares tips and knowledge on how to stay true to your beliefs, honor the differences that make us unique, and forge a path of genuine equality. He has presented at several virtual education-oriented seminars like this one, and is sometimes seen speaking at the national level for aviation. We are honored to have him share some of his expertise and guidance as we navigate the balance between personal and professional development. Please help me welcome my husband and best friend, Gene Bishop.
On Saturday, May 31st, 2014, in Bedford, Massachusetts, 7 people lost their lives when a private jet ran off the end of the runway and crashed into a ravine. The cause of the crash was determined to be a failure to complete required checklists. In other words, a lack of attention to detail. My name is Gene Bishop. I'm a former military aviator and current business jet pilot. I'm very grateful to have the honor and privilege of speaking at the 2025 Refresh and Renew Summit produced by Soul Heart Collaborations and my beautiful wife, Jamie Allen Bishop. Today I will be discussing the importance of attention to detail and how it can benefit each of us, both professionally and in our daily lives. So what is attention to detail? It is defined as the ability to be thorough and accurate while observing, analyzing, and completing tasks. Attention to detail isn't so much an individual action as it is a set of daily habits that result in improved efficiency and accuracy in everything we do. It's a mindset that is key to successful relationships, both personal and professional. In this presentation, we will examine why attention to detail is important and how you can develop the habits that will help you ensure success. At the end of the presentation, there will be a brief exercise to illustrate the importance of attention to detail. My father always used to say, measure twice, cut once. As a child, it didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, as it seemed redundant to measure twice. As I grew older, I began to understand and appreciate the wisdom in that simple little phrase, though. It highlights the importance of doing things right the first time, ensuring the accuracy of your work. It's a far more efficient and effective way than having to go back and redo and make corrections to something you've already done after the fact. Being accurate the first time improves productivity by saving time, money, and effort. It also builds a reputation for quality and reliability. In the military and in the cockpit, a common saying is slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Another phrase that doesn't necessarily resonate with most people when they first hear it. But if you think back to the fable about the tortoise and the hare, it will begin to make more sense. Slow, deliberate persistence, precision, and accuracy will always win over being rushed, distracted, and defective when it comes to delivering a quality product. I felt this Chinese proverb was relevant to the Bedford, Massachusetts plane crash I mentioned, because in that incident, impatience and being rushed wound up costing 7 people their lives, all due to a momentary lack of attention to detail. If you're like me, you expect to receive quality and consistency from the businesses and services you use every day. You work hard for your income and rightfully expect that your patronage will be rewarded with products and services that meet your expectations, and so do your customers. There's no such thing as a minor mistake when taking care of your clients. Anything that isn't up to their expectations and standards will be noted. Whether or not they tell you about it is another question. They may or may not be willing to overlook an inconsequential mistake every now and then, but if it's their first experience with your business, or if you allow it to become a pattern, they will almost certainly take their business somewhere else. And in this day and age of social media and online reviews, there's an excellent chance that they'll let others know about their experience as well. Obviously, we want to avoid that at all costs. I found it very interesting to learn the Harvard Business Review conducted a study that found prioritizing details in your work can reduce costly mistakes by up to 25%. That's a significant number, especially for a small business. Mistakes create a ripple effect in that they cost time, which costs revenue, which affects reputation, which can take years to recover if it can be recovered at all. It's much easier and far more effective to simply ensure things are done correctly the first time. Successful businesses and their relationships are built on reputation. Once that trust or reputation comes into question, it will be extremely difficult to reestablish. Developing effective habits that ensure your attention to detail can help you ensure you don't ever have to worry about trying to recover business and or relationships. Discipline is defined as the ability to control one's feelings and overcome one's weaknesses, the ability to pursue what one thinks is right despite temptations to abandon it. Disciplined time management skills are an essential element in maintaining focus. We'll discuss that a little further in a moment. I regularly hear people claiming to be good at multitasking. Studies have shown, however, that that's just not true. The mind can often trick us into believing that we're capable of completing multiple tasks at the same time, but the results usually prove differently. We become jacks of all trades, but masters of none. For the purposes of this presentation, we're focusing on becoming masters of our trades and of our relationships. So if you are a multitasker, I'd like to ask you to reevaluate how that's worked for you in the past and consider changing to a more focused and disciplined approach and see if perhaps that yields a more positive result for you. A common issue we face when trying to complete a task is an abundance of distractions, be it smartphones, social media, television, pets, you name it. They can all distract us and cause us to lose focus. It's important to identify and take steps to minimize those potential distractions. One way to effectively minimize distractions is to create and maintain a daily routine. Routines are proven to help us conserve mental energy by effectively mapping out our normal daily activities, which in turn enhances our ability to pay more attention to detail. It's not to say that you have to do everything exactly the same way every day, but rather just develop a generally consistent daily regimen and see if you notice the benefits. For instance, one of my daily routines, one of my habits, is anytime I open my front door to leave the house, I physically touch my pockets to ensure I have my phone, my keys, my glasses, and my wallet. It's a simple habit, but it has saved me countless hassles, frustrations, and wasted time that would have resulted from leaving the house without one of those items. With modern technology, we have a variety of time management tools available to us 24/7. One of my favorite and most used tools is the simple calendar on my phone. Any and every time I make an appointment, whether it's business related or personal, it goes in my calendar with alerts set to remind me. Usually I set the initial reminders for a day or two in advance, and then as those reminders come up, I reset the alarm to go off an hour or two before the event. So I have a reminder to start getting ready. Every night before bed, I also check my calendar for the next day, just as one last way to mentally prepare myself for the day to come. As I mentioned previously, if you're working from home regularly, it can be very easy to become distracted by things like smartphones, pets, television, you name it. If you set aside the specific and reasonable work times in your calendar, it can help you mentally prepare yourself for work mode, which in turn will assist you in focusing on the tasks at hand. Similarly, I would encourage you to use your calendar to provide reminders and alerts for upcoming appointments, events, etc. Whether it's professional or personal, it doesn't matter. Respecting our own time as well as that of our customers and friends is crucial to maintaining positive relationships. Nobody likes to have their time wasted, so make sure you're taking active steps to make sure you're not wasting anyone's time, your own included. There are a variety of simple and readily available time management tools to help you ensure that your time is used as efficiently and effectively as possible, while minimizing errors and duplicated efforts. In the next few slides, we'll examine things like checklists, the Pomodoro method, and the Eisenhower matrix. See if perhaps any of these can help you better utilize and streamline your time. Checklists are a subject with which I am extremely familiar. I use checklists every day in the cockpit for every phase of flight. Failing to use a checklist, as we learned in the case of the Bedford crash, can have catastrophic consequences due to missing seemingly inconsequential items. Never, ever do I rely on memory alone. Same is true, though, hopefully with less dire consequences, with businesses and relationships. With just a small amount of time and preparation, checklists can give us the opportunity to map out what we need to accomplish. They allow us to set the order in which we need to do these things, and they help us to back ourselves up, if you will. My phone allows me to easily create checklists, and once I've completed the task and check it off, it marks it as completed and moves it to the bottom of the list. One of the favorite ways I have to use that app is when I'm going to the supermarket. The checklist allows me to efficiently manage my time and efforts by categorizing the various things I need to buy that day. Rather than trying to rely on memory, which usually has me going back and forth across the store half a dozen times, with a checklist, I can visualize what I need from each section of the store and therefore just go from one section to the next without having to go back and forth. It saves me from duplicating effort, saves me from wasting time, and allows me to verify that I'm getting everything I'm supposed to get. It's just a simple example of how effective that kind of tool can be, helping to save time and streamline our daily lives. Similarly, checklists can be used to help prepare for a presentation like this one. They can help with event planning, planning for a trip, planning for a birthday party, as a reminder of things you have to do if you have a busy schedule next day. It can be as simple or as detailed as the situation calls for, but the end result is accuracy and efficiency, and that's always our goal. I honestly didn't know this had a name until fairly recently, but I've been using this time management technique since I was in high school. I was never the sort of student who could sit at a desk for hours on end and just knock out all my homework all at once. I would get bored, my mind would start to wander, and I would get distracted and lose focus. It wasn't pretty, and it wasted all kinds of time. It took a while, but I finally figured out that I could remain reasonably focused on something for about 30 minutes at a time. So that became my goal. I would put my mom's little wind up kitchen timer on my desk and set it for 30 minutes. During that time, I was able to maintain focus and I was able to work effectively and with minimal errors. And then when the timer went off after 30 minutes, I gave myself a 5 or maybe 10-minute break to go get a snack, stretch my legs, talk to a friend for a minute, whatever. When the timer went off again, I sat back down, reset it to 30 minutes, and got back to work. After 3 or 4 sessions, I would allow myself a longer 20 to 30-minute break to decompress a bit, maybe grab some dinner, what have you. It sounds really simplistic, but I found that it was the best way for me to maintain focus and get my work done as quickly as possible. Knowing that I was only a few more minutes away from the next break made all the difference in the world to me psychologically. It provided a light at the end of the tunnel, if you will. As I've grown and progressed in my career, this simple tool has been invaluable to me anytime I've had a major project to complete. I still use 30-minute blocks, though, as you can see in the slide, the official guidance is 25 minutes. And I still set it and stick to a timer to keep me on task. As we discussed previously, discipline is your friend. It goes back to the old saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. It's easy to feel overwhelmed when you're looking at the overall task as a whole and have no idea how you're going to start. But it really reduces the anxiety while also improving your focus and productivity by reducing the whole into smaller, more manageable tasks. Named after General and later President Dwight Eisenhower, who was definitely a master of prioritization and time management, this little matrix is designed to help you categorize and prioritize your daily tasks. It only has 4 categories: do, decide, delegate, and delete, based on importance and urgency. If I've got, I don't know, say a presentation to give on attention to detail, and that deadline is approaching, that's going to go in the do category because it's the most urgent and pressing task on my list of things to do. I've also got a few online training courses to complete for work, but they're not due until the end of the month, so I can put them in the decide category and pick a time and date in my calendar when I don't have anything else to do, and I will set reminders to remind myself that I still need to do those things. Our pets need to be fed this evening, so that's a somewhat urgent task that can't really be delayed, but it doesn't require my immediate attention, so I can delegate that to either Jamie or our daughter Jacelyn, depending on their schedules. Lastly, I've been meaning to organize and edit some of the photos I took last week. That's really not a priority. It's a nice to do thing, not a need to do. The world is not going to come to a screeching halt if my photos don't get organized. That sort of thing would go in the lower right corner in the delete category, not because I'm not going to do it, but because it's something that can be done anytime I don't have something else to do. I've seen a lot of people create this matrix on a whiteboard in their office, on a piece of paper on their desk, even in a note or an email on their phone. As with any checklist, this matrix just allows the user to visually plot and prioritize their tasks and streamline their days in the process. One of the most important aspects of ensuring quality control and attention to detail is reviewing and editing your work. And that can happen any one of a couple of different ways. When you're working in blocks, as we saw with the Pomodoro method, take a moment after each break and just quickly scan through your work. If you can go back to the beginning and just quickly go over what you've already done, chances are that after the break, something will catch your eye and you can make the on-the-spot correction. When you're in the moment and have been working on the same thing for any amount of time, it's easy to overlook small mistakes. But once you've had a few minutes to detach and focus on something else, it comes back and now you're able to notice the errors. Not entirely unlike how your home or office smells different when you first arrive. You notice different things when you're looking with fresh eyes. And speaking of fresh eyes, if I've got a big project to do, or an important email to send, or a resume, or anything of any kind of importance, I always ask Jamie to proofread or look over it for correctness and presentability. Because she's not as mentally and emotionally invested in it as I am, she's more likely to catch small details that I've overlooked. This part of the process is really the final filter. It ensures quality control before your work is put out to a client or colleagues or an employer or whoever is going to be on the receiving end. For that reason, it's vitally important and cannot be stressed enough that you should not overlook it. If you can't find somebody who's willing to double check your work, wait until you can, or arrange in advance for somebody. Similarly, if you're ever asked to review something for someone else, you should take it as an enormous compliment, because that person values your input and expertise, and essentially they're entrusting you with ensuring the quality of their work. That's pretty significant and not something to be taken lightly. If you've made it this far, you have both my congratulations and my appreciation. We are almost done. Hopefully by this point you've come to understand the importance of attention to detail and setting yourself up for success in your personal and professional lives. The benefits include things like a higher quality product for your clients, a more efficient and effective use of your time, increased trust from your clients and friends, employers, whoever, and an overall improvement in your reputation. Not saying that you have a bad reputation, but there's always room for improvement, at least for me. The strategies we've discussed today will help you achieve those goals by helping you to prioritize your tasks, both large and small, while streamlining your organizational and time management skills. Ensuring quality control remains consistent and reliable is the goal. Okay, now here is a little exercise that I hope you'll enjoy as much as possible. It's just a quick exercise to check your focus. On the following slide, you'll have 10 seconds to count all the sevens you see. Work quickly, but be as thorough as possible. Are you ready? Here we go. Okay, how many sevens did you find? There were a total of 16. Did you find them all? If so, congratulations. Most people missed the one on the very top line. As a takeaway, my challenge to you is to identify any one of the tools or strategies I've discussed today and focus on implementing it in your daily routine. Once you've started to master it, maybe choose another and focus on that one as well, and so on. See if your productivity and the quality of your work and relationships don't begin to improve. All it takes is a little discipline while you develop your new habits. Anybody can do it with just the smallest amount of effort. I found this quote to be particularly meaningful to this topic. All big things come from small beginnings. The seed of every habit is a single, tiny decision. My hope for each of you is that you're able to turn tiny decisions and small new habits into grand adventures and immeasurable success. Hopefully you were able to learn something new and useful today. If you have any feedback, questions, comments, I would love to hear from you. Please feel free to reach out to me at gene_bishop, all lowercase, at yahoo.com, and be sure to put Refresh and Renew 2025 in the subject line. My sincere thanks to all who've attended today, to my lovely bride, Jamie Allen Bishop, to all the people at Soul Heart Collaborations, and all of the other incredible presenters we've had this weekend. It was an honor and a privilege to be a part of this program, and I look forward to hearing from you, and I'll see you next year. Thanks for watching.